Cecil, have we had the ELO discussion? I don't believe we have. Have we?
I don't think so. Really a slick, polished. Jeff Lynn's a multi-talented guy. Their first hit was kind of a almost a novelty cover of "Roll Over Beethoven," the old Chuck Berry song. But they certainly took it from there, and Jeff, he's produced a lot of hits, and they sound good. They were just, they're just made for that AOR radio format.
Kind of a disco feel to them a little bit too that really worked well in the 70s. You could dance to ELO, right?
It was the old Dick Clark, "Can you dance to it?"
Yeah, going back a little bit with ELO. Something that we've also sort of seen throughout the years are Kentucky basketball teams that are long and athletic and can be a problem both in the paint, on the boards, you name it. And that seemed to be the case again, I guess, Cecil, for Alabama's men's basketball team in the loss to the Cats up at Rupp Arena on Saturday.
It did, and they're going to have players. I mean, it's not like people have been so worked up about their 4-game losing streak, but they lost 3 on the road, and they lost 1 against Tennessee where they had a shot at the end in Rupp Arena. So they have lost 2 in Rupp. That's unusual for them, and so people are in a panic, and they're not as good as the Wall, Cousins, Bledsoe team. Let's not mince words about that. I don't know that they have one alpha dog that you've got to create something against the shot clock and make a big shot. I don't know who they'd go to. I guess not. But, they don't really have that guy. But they've got plenty of big guys that can bang, and athletic guys, Gabriel and Diallo and Washington and Nick Richards. And, they're pretty deep at that, and they can do that and did a good job of it. And, it's not a case. The referees did not cost Alabama the game. Please understand what I'm saying. But sometimes you can play. The same thing's true for Alabama at Coleman. You can settle into your style of play a little better on your home floor than you can on the road. I'll put it that way. And that's why home teams were 7-0 on Saturday. And with one exception, I would say if you flipped where the game was played, the other team would have won. I think Alabama could have beaten Kentucky in Tuscaloosa. I think Auburn beats South Carolina in Auburn. I think Florida beats Vandy if it's in Florida. Missouri beats LSU if it's in Columbia. The one I'd say, I think Ole Miss is kind of toast, and State was going to beat them anywhere. But the others, just strictly, the home team won, and if you'd been playing at the other guy's gym, the other team would have won.
And from that standpoint, nothing changes in the SEC standings. Moving forward, Alabama, if the season ended today, would be the number 4 seed in the SEC tournament, which would afford it a double bye into the quarterfinal round of that event. But looking ahead, Auburn coming up midweek, a tough blow for the Tigers on the injury front. But still, when you look at this Auburn team, right, it's those 3 guards primarily that you have to deal with.
Sure. Oh, absolutely. You've got to. They play at an up tempo. They shoot the 3. They're versatile. You've got to guard them all over the floor. They'll miss McLemore. Whether sometimes that first game after an injury, people are, the sub is fired up and plays well. Long term, they'll miss him. He's their best interior defender, and also a guy that could stretch a defense, pull a 5 guy away from the basket because you had to cover him at the 3-point line. So long range, they'll miss him. Whether that immediately all shows up on Wednesday night is a different question. They have adequate guys. Horace Spencer's a guy that played a lot of minutes as a freshman. Didn't play as much last year, but has been a pretty good role player for him. KK, he's another guy that can shoot the 3 a little bit at 6'8". You play him at center, and you do still have that stretch on the defense. So they'll have some options. They get on the road, get a little bit more foul trouble than they might get in Auburn Arena. It'll show up. I believe that.
you look at this Alabama team right now, Cecil, and you feel like there's four guys, right, that are pretty well settled in as top options, at least to start games. Dante Hall with another efficient performance, 7 of 8 from the field, 16 points against Kentucky on Saturday. Obviously, Colin Sexton is at the top of that list as well. Then you have Dazon Ingram, John Petty. But the fifth guy right now, Cecil, we've seen Avery go with more of a two bigs approach with Daniel Giddens. But Giddens on Saturday in 15 minutes, 2 points and a rebound, I guess, in that game against Kentucky, 3 turnovers. Do you think that's still sort of something that Avery's going to play with on a game-by-game basis, or how do you sort of see that playing out?
Well, he's got a lot of options. Again, starting, sometimes that can be deceptive. Sometimes it just means the guy's on the floor for the first 5 minutes. It doesn't mean you think that's going to be your best rotation for the entire game. Daniel can give you some things, some interior defense and rebounding. He needed to do a better job probably Saturday. He'd probably tell you that. But really, at that, if you're talking about that as a 4, you can play Braxton there. Braxton didn't have his best game Saturday either. Again, he'd probably tell you the same thing. You could play Reese if you feel like you can defend with him. I'm not sure Auburn's the place you could do that. Or you could play Herb there, and you can defend with him. And it's just what you get on the offensive end out of Herb. So you do have a lot of options there, but I think Avery's been pretty content with the two bigs, and I don't think the game at Kentucky, while probably had a chance to win if you execute better in the last 4 minutes, I don't think that's back to the drawing board game. I don't think you say, oh, well, everything that's been successful for us, we got to change all that. So I don't know that he'll make any dramatic. I wouldn't be shocked if Daniel starts again, and they go with that same lineup.
And it seems like matchups on a game-to-game basis change so much just within this league, and none more so, right, than going from Kentucky and what it presented and what Alabama will see from Auburn on Wednesday night down on the Plains. Now, we talked about it being Daytona.
I think right now Kentucky has 6 guys that are taller than Auburn's tallest guy.
Yeah.
That's a big difference.
That pretty much tells you about the change in matchups that Alabama's about to see on Wednesday night from the Tigers.
But yes, to make your point, totally different rosters, totally different style of play. 2 tough teams to play in 2 very tough places to play.
And we talk about the league right now, Cecil, and it seems like in Daytona 500 weekend, all that, seems like the league right now has that one car, right, that comes out of nowhere and sort of blazes up the backstretch to get into that lead pack. It was Texas A&M a week or so ago, but now it looks like Arkansas is that car that's sort of catching a run here, winners of 4 straight, and they come to Coleman Coliseum on Saturday.
Yeah, they've got a really nice lineup. They're you talk about long and athletic now. They're shoot the 3 and playing, I think, the way Mike Anderson wants to play. They dominated A&M on Saturday. So and got a pretty good schedule break before that. I think Alabama was probably the last gasp, as it turns out, for this Ole Miss team. But credit Arkansas for going in there and taking care of business. That'll be a tough game, but now you've got to defend home floor. We just talked about all the advantages the teams have playing at home, how home teams went 7-0 this weekend. So it starts there. If Alabama can win their 2 games on their home floor, they'll be in pretty good shape. Like to steal one between Auburn and Texas A&M, but you got to beat Arkansas and Florida. Just got to do it, and easier said than done, particularly the way Arkansas is playing.
Cecil, I know you spent time with covering the Alabama baseball team over the weekend, the opening series for Brad Bohannon as baseball coach at the University of Alabama. Understanding that Valpo is not Vandy,
Right.
still a very nice way to start a season and a regime under Brad Bohannon with the sweep of the Crusaders.
Well, as Brad said, couldn't have scripted it probably any better, given what he's got to work with. They weren't going to go out and throw 3-2 hitters, that against anybody. But their pitching wasn't bad. Bullpen was pretty good, through strikes anyway, which is step one in that. Again, whether some of the fastballs that got by the Valpo hitters will get by the Florida hitters, we'll see. But I thought the enthusiasm was good, and I do think they'll be a good offensive team. Again, I don't think Keith Holcomb will bat 1,000 for the year, but he did bat 1,000 for the weekend. And that helps. And they'll get, and had a good offensive performance, really with their probably their best power hitter suspended for the weekend. So, Chandler gets back, and I think they've got some real promise there, but now they're going to have to win some 8-7 in league play, and even that, you can't live and die on that in the Southeastern Conference. But I think everybody understood what the situation was going to be this year, and just wanted to go to the ballpark and have a good time, see some base hits and see some kids who looked like they were having fun playing, and I think they saw that this weekend.
It's interesting. Keith Holcomb, as you mentioned, a great weekend. I believe 4 for 4 yesterday, nearly hit for the cycle in the finale against Valpo yesterday. What do you think of Keith Holcomb in terms of the big picture? Obviously, an important piece of the Alabama football team, both as a depth provider mostly at linebacker, but a very good special teams player. And then when you go to the ballpark and you watch him hit from the left side, has good speed for a big guy. Showed you some power yesterday by going hitting the ball out of the ballpark. What do you think in terms of maybe big picture prospects for Keith Holcomb? Maybe more so, I guess, in baseball than football.
Yeah, I think so. Guy with some power, good speed. Probably not a plus arm in the outfield, but everything else, he checked the boxes pretty well, and seems to just come naturally to him. He hadn't had much practice with the baseball team. Didn't practice with them at all in the fall, and just sort of goes out there. And Brad Bohannon made a good point. He's got a real natural eye, real good, very good strike zone awareness that a lot of football players that make the transition don't necessarily have. You'll have some guys who are power hitters and great athletes and play both sports, but they don't always have a lot of plate discipline, which Keith has. So I think he's a prospect in baseball. Now, the flip side of that is that, as Nick would probably point out to you, football's paying the price. He's getting that full ride for putting on the helmet and the shoulder pads. So, but he's been able to balance it pretty well so far. We'll see what happens in the spring, but he's a contributor either in the outfield or as a DH.
All while dealing with diabetes too. I mean, makes it even more amazing what he's been able to do in multiple sports during his time at Alabama. Cecil, as we let you go here, a lot has been made of the national anthem sung by Fergie prior to last night's NBA All-Star game. I'm of the opinion, look, Fergie isn't a singer. She's a performer. So right. I'm not as up in arms or as dismissive of her performance. Would I say it was an all-timer? No. But was it about what I would expect from Fergie? Yeah, I guess it is. What saith Cecil Hurts on this most important topic on this
First
Monday?
Of all, I didn't see it live, so I didn't have I've seen a replay of it now because people were talking about it so much, and it was not. When you compare to Pink, who did the Super Bowl, she's got some pipes now, and she can handle that, and that's not
saying, yeah.
that's not Fergie's strength, I don't think. So I understand it's a hot button topic, and people want the anthem to be, the Marine Corps band version. Some people, that's the only version.
Whitney Houston, yeah,
or Whitney Houston. Who was, some people liked that, and some people thought that was a little bit over the top. So clearly, they were trying to be different in every way in that All-Star game last night.
Mm-hmm.
The introductions to the way the teams were selected, and to make it more entertainment. If you ask me if that anthem was a hit or a miss, I would say it was a miss. But I understand what they were trying to do. And would she have been my choice? No, probably not. But a performer, she did what she thought was best, and if it didn't work, it didn't work. And
yeah.
I don't think it's a political statement, or it just wasn't the best version that you've heard. Still have people. By the way, you may remember this, you may not. There's still people who are up in arms from that Music City Bowl performance by Larry Carlton before the Alabama Virginia Tech game.
Yeah.
Where he did the jazz guitar thing.
Mm-hmm.
People still complain about that too. Look, some people like the big college band, $1 billion band, or Ohio State band version, and that's what they like.
All about preference, isn't it?
Yeah, and Trav, some people like Hendrix at Woodstock.
Yeah, I like that one.
For them, that's the Star Spangled Banner. So
yeah, I'll do that too. I'll combine them all.
Yeah, never. History did not permit Hendrix at the Super Bowl. That would have been probably the ultimate.